This is the Today with Tally podcast. Daily fantasy sports. Gambling. Gambling, look, is taking over the United States of America. That's why Vegas isn't really packed anymore. Gambling is at our fingertips all day, every day, especially when it comes to daily fantasy sports. Now, the NFL season is weeks away, and the amount of money that changes hands during an NFL season is astronomical. But even on a daily basis, the amount of people in the United States and of America and abroad that gamble every single day on sports is becoming an issue for a lot of Americans. And today we're going to talk with Dave Fecco. Now, Dave is a great friend of mine. I've known him over 20 years. He's a native from Youngstown, Ohio. You know, gambling's in the blood of folks from Youngstown. That's where I was born. And we're going to talk about daily fantasy sports. You know, we're going to talk about DraftKings and FanDuel and the drug, if you will, of gambling. And with that, my good buddy, I've been playing fantasy football with you for over 20 years, Fecco.
I know. Time flies, man. It flies.
How you been doing?
I'm doing okay. I think I'm taking a better outlook on life and waking up with a mission on doing 1% better every day, just like my man, like my man Tally over here says. But yeah, I'm still rideshare driving. I'm an active sports bettor. But I do see some things that are wrong. And, I hopefully, the right ears will listen to this today and maybe we can get some clarity and maybe change some things that, makes like betting safer for everyone. Because
look, man, I've been, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter how much you gamble. It could be 50 cents and you're gambling. I've been a gambler, I guess, since I was 18 years old. There's a great feeling when you're, setting a lineup and you're doing a fantasy baseball or a fantasy basketball or fantasy football lineups. And, I guess it's the sheer excitement, the what ifs, I win and, what $1 can turn into or what $20 can turn into. And the endorphin rush, really, you get when you place a bet and you're like, man, and you watch it and you watch it and you watch it. You become engaged in the game and it helps you watch it. It gives you a reason to watch the game, one, and then you're kind of watching it through some nervous eyes. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people have kind of fallen off the team bandwagons are now following individual players because they may like playing these guys more so than not, or, every time I play this guy, he delivers for me. So you've got a lot of individual, bettors out there watching individual guys, almost like the horses, if you will.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that it started with fantasy football. Like, man, it would have been a great idea to think of this before FanDuel or DraftKings did. But, I've been doing fantasy sports now. It's 25 years, and it's always been for little amounts compared to what goes into like DraftKings and FanDuel. But it's with friends, that you've had since childhood or new friends that you meet throughout the years. And, I've always felt like I have a good core group of friends that we do it every year. And, now that DraftKings, actually FanDuel came around first in 2009. And then DraftKings followed a few years later, I think in 2012. But they currently, between the two of them, FanDuel has 12 million users and DraftKings has 14 million users. And on an active basis, it's 4.5 million to 4.8 million, which generates $50 billion of sports bets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Big business, man.
It is.
Dude, I remember when I first started playing fantasy football, we had a draft board that you had to, everybody would get together. It'd be 12 of us guys, beers are flowing. We got pizza, we got whatever. We're sitting
Yeah.
at someone's, garage or someone's house. And each person had, 2 or 5 minutes, depending on what round it was. And you had to get up there with your, a pencil or a pen or a marker and actually write who you were drafting on the board. And at the end, you got a secretary and all that, and they're trying to, commissioner, and you had to hand put everything in. And then all of a sudden one day it was like, wow, the computer can do this. And then it made it even more accessible for people. And then I think that's where the whole camaraderie piece started to kind of take a back seat when people are like, I don't even need to get together with these guys anymore. I could bet every single day, and I could do it on individual games now at the tip of my fingers, right here on my phone. I could place whatever bet I want on DraftKings, on FanDuel, or whatever site it may be. And that's where the addiction really began for a lot of these folks. Now you're like, hey, look, what can we do to change the game a little bit? Now, explain exactly what you're thinking.
Well, to change the game, I just think that the way they market, like both companies, like they draw you in. They give you $1,000 bonus. Like a few years ago, they were giving everybody, hey, $1,000 bonus to sign up. Okay. And what did most people do with that? They did. They signed up. It created millions more people yearly flooding into the market. And I'm not saying I definitely was a person that took advantage of that, and I made some money. I feel that when they did that, it loosened up, um, like my idea of like what the money really meant, because I was betting $500 on a game now, or opposed to, you know, $1, $5 trying to make it into like 10,000 or 100,000. They give you $3,000 to play with. I mean, everybody I feel in that marketing scheme made a little bit of money. But the problem with that is only 5% of people ever cash out.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
true.
it. And another thing is of all those millions we just talked about, 1% generates 91% of the wins. So 99% of everyone who plays is losing. I mean, there's 15% of users who win money, but significant wins go to the top one. So that means, are they doing it legit? I mean, there's many arbitrations, there's many class action lawsuits that, through the past 10 years, 12 years or so, that the companies paid because they use like marketing techniques to, drive you to bet more. It's like almost like a form of brainwashing. And I feel that like each state needs to monitor it a little bit better, because I mean addictions happen every day in this world, and it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, but sports betting and is probably one of the worst addictions, I would say, because you have a chance of winning. But if you take a step back, you're like, and you see these numbers, like I have like literally no chance of ever winning something big if it's all going to the top 1.3% of bettors. So are they that much better? I mean, they put in time. They research. Do they have insider trading? Well, they have paid some lawsuits out for that. So I just think that we need to each state needs to step in and look at what they're doing, and for us to move forward with it. I mean, I will always probably bet on DraftKings and FanDuel just because like I was a losing player for the first 10 years, and I got my first like significant win. I think it was in 2022. So it took me what 10 years to hit, and anything I've won, it was just all the money I've lost. I think when I did my math, I averaged $400 a year for 12 years. in the positive, but I was in the negative like 12,000 at one point, and that doesn't seem like a lot over, you know, the first 10 years, but to me, every dollar did matter. It's just I was trying to get, I guess they say get rich quick. And, you know, I've only known about a handful of people who have won, a quarter million, 50,000, 100,000. But out of 90% of the friends I have, nobody else talks about those wins. It's just like three people. So it is true. That percentage of wins goes to that 1.3%. And that's
Mhm.
scary.
You, for me, I play about $3 to $5 a day,
Okay.
and I do DraftKings every day because it is my release. It is my, you know, I'm going to set a lineup and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to follow these players, and because it's kind of like a hobby. I mean, I spend $5 on it. Well, sometimes three, depending on what what the lines are, or whatever it may be, or the slates, and that's a cup of coffee for somebody. And I'm
Yes.
going out and I'm not buying a $5 cup of coffee. So why are they buying that cup of coffee? Well, because it makes them feel good. They want a cup of coffee. It's going to help them get up. It's going to, it could be an addiction to caffeine. We don't know. All
Yeah.
we know is that they're going to go spend $5 on a cup of coffee. Well, I'm going to go spend my $5 on entertainment. It's going to entertain me for 3, 4, 5 hours. And there may even be some return on that investment, if you will. But I don't look at it like that. Really, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it'd be great if I won, but really, I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy setting a lineup. I enjoy watching. This is how I can follow player stats and player tracking and find out a little bit more about where they're from. I literally dig into, like, hey, what college did these guys go to? Like, because it becomes bigger than just the sport. And that's what I love most about, playing, and I'm a DraftKings user. And I think that's what I enjoy more, about the betting, is to learn about who you're putting out there, in these daily fantasy sports games. And like I said, it is there for entertainment. So I'm looking at a I only play $1 games. So I play, but I might enter, three lineups in one slate, or I may do an early slate and a late slate. So I've got my $3 to $5. That's like my bankroll. But the cool thing about it is typically every single time I play, I win, but I don't win a lot. I win either my money back. So if you do a $1 bet, you win $2. And from there, it kind of goes up from there. But I mean, very rarely. I mean, I've never hit. I think the most I've ever won in a given game is like $300, and basically my average win is probably like $2 to $3. But that keeps it going. That keeps it going. So I don't need to keep putting money into the pot. I basically reuse. So it's a recycled money, if you will. I put $5 in and I keep that five rolling for a very long time. But that's fantasy baseball. Now, when fantasy football comes around, that's a different story. I'll play 20 to $25 every single Sunday, because now that's only one day a week.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the early games, I'm doing the late games, and I'm doing the night game. So that right there is a little bit more, because like you're more into it. It's like the drug. Okay, dude, today, man, I've got the perfect, stack going right now. I'm stacking this quarterback with these two receivers. I've got these two backs here. I know they're both going to rush for over 100 yards and get 3 touchdowns and blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh, and then I've got my dark horse pick over here, and boom, you've got that energy. You're like, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And then 10 minutes into the game, you're like, well, I had him. I took all these guys out. And then it becomes more of you're in a pissed off mood for the rest of the day. And you're like, man, fuck fantasy.
No, it's true. It's true. You know, I I like during the football season, I love doing probably like 10 lineups in the $3. I do a
Yeah.
couple in the 20 and then a few $5 and $10 lineups. But it always seems like, you're so close. Everyone's just so close to that win. It's like you get in the top like 1,000 or top 100. You're sweating. You're sitting there watching the game with your friends or whoever you're around with, and you're excited. You're nervous. You're like, are they gonna? It it is definitely a dopamine when you're close to winning actual real money. But at the end of the day, it is gambling, and by every definition of the word, when you're betting any type of money to increase your portfolio, you're at risk of losing whatever you bet. So you shouldn't bet if you can't afford to do it. But the problem is, some people do have a lot of money, and they're the ones that are getting like concierge service. Like basically, they have somebody they go to that uh, like gives them all kind of free like match bet bonuses, and they try to get them in, and they're losing. I mean, there's some people who've lost millions. They've lost, and is it irresponsible of them? Sure, but if they're using like shady marketing techniques, then I mean, they have algorithms that know what you're betting and to set you up on like deposit bonuses or a match bonus. Like I like the match bonus because you deposit the money and they give you the $250. Let's just say you got to deposit $1,000 to get 25% match, and you can withdraw that 1,000 and just play with that free money. But it's broken up into $25 increments. So you have 5 bets you can make, or well, on that regard, you have 10 bets you can make, and there's times where you know you lose all that free money, and I'm guilty. I'm not just walking away. I just then throw real money at it, and that's the whole brainwashing. I feel it's like you lose that money, but you're so close to hitting. You put real money in with the hope of getting that free money back, and you know you want to pay for your sports bets. That's I think every better out there just wants to win enough to pay for the bets, and then at the end of the day, if you win a little extra money, then you had a good year. But if you're winning, I think it's over anything over $600, you have to report to the IRS. So I've only had to do reporting to the IRS 2 years out of what 12. So I mean, I've had significant loss, but if you don't have the wins to go with the losses, you're not claiming anything.
Right, right. It's like you said, you talk about, the folks that have, the lot of money and all that stuff to
Yeah,
I want to talk more about folks like us
yeah,
that don't, because a lot of those rich guys, they're always going to be rich.
yeah.
They'll lose 1 million and then they'll win 5 million. Like we got a guy here, Mattress Mac in Houston.
Oh yeah,
This guy throws millions and millions of dollars on bets every single year, but he leverages his furniture store
yes,
basically. So he's like, if the Astros win the World Series, and I think he basically says like something like this: come in and buy a mattress that's valued at $5,000 or more, or any furniture that's valued at $5,000 or more.
yeah,
And if the Astros win the World Series, we're going to give you your money back. And so he's making money regardless, because if he's selling all the furniture, so I'm sure he'll bet against himself just to make sure that he never loses, to where
yeah,
he always is going to at least break even or win a ton of money. And so you got sports betting like that. And then you also have the daily guys that may not have a whole lot of money in their bank account, and they're trying to make ends meet. And they're saying, man, is today my day that
yeah,
that I put $20 on a game or $20 on a slate, and I win. It is that day today. And if you're a gambler, that day is every single day until it's not. Because every single time that I put a lineup in, I'm like, oh, dude, this is the perfect lineup. And then you get 20 minutes into the game, you're like, it sucks. It's toast. It's over.
You know what I mean? 99% of the time.
Right. Right, man. So it's like, and again, I would call myself a responsible gambler.
Yes.
And I don't really even like using that word gamble. I think that that word has been demonized, if you will. It's like, oh, he's a gambler. You know, I think that's kind of like saying, yeah, that's a drug dealer, or that's a dope fiend over on the corner or something like that. Because, like I said, I do this for entertainment purposes. Now, what you can go to a movie and drop, $100 on a ticket, a couple popcorns, a soda, and some candy. Okay, so what are you now? Are you a junk food addiction, person? Are you a pre-diabetic? I mean, tell me about it. So, really, at the end of the day, these are decisions that people make for one, entertainment in this country, because we are a country that loves to be entertained, and and so doing it responsible. Now, you were saying that there may need to be some changes, some policy changes, depending on what states. Explain why you think that the government needs to get involved in sports betting.
Well, I mean, if they've already paid out settlements, of $6 million, I'll use one state in particular, Connecticut. They are paying out about 7,000 users between 2021 and 2023 that didn't meet advertising requirements. The promotion marketed a deposit match or bonuses, omitted key conditions such as wagering requirements needed to unlock advertised rewards. And meaning, like, so if these users like had a match bonus, let's just say $10,000 or 5,000, because the bigger bettors get bigger matches. They put that money in. They thought that they were getting the match and they can play with that money. Well, they didn't. They had to play with the money, but you didn't get real money with it unless you hit a certain requirement, and it wasn't like put in. It wasn't put in their legal documents, and that's why they settled. They said they're willing to settle and pay $3 million out, but the DraftKings itself said they admit to no wrongdoing. But
yeah, but that was fraud. But see, that was fraud on their part.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I could see where if you screw up, well, then you need to pay a settlement. But I'm talking, it is the person that is making the wager. It's their decision to go forward and play $1, $5, 25. I mean, dude, you could do a $50,000 bet on DraftKings.
Yeah.
So again, it's that person's decision to do that. Now, me personally, I don't believe the government should have any interaction in sports betting on what they already have right now. I mean, they are governing this very, very strongly, and that's why it's legal now. This was only legalized once they figured out how they could capitalize on it. It's just like cigarettes. It's just like alcohol. It's just like anything and everything else, that if the government can regulate it and make money on it, they don't really care what it's going to do to the end user. All they care about is what kind of money are they going to make, what kind of return are they going to make, and what kind of taxes are they going to collect off the backs of, again, the users. So if you want to say, look, DraftKings is the drug dealer, right? They're the drug dealer. They've got what you want, and you're going to pay to play. And that, again, is coming in the form of gambling. And you say, today's the day, today's the day, today's the day. And then boom, like you said, only 99% or only the top 1% are going to get that big payday, while the rest of the 99% walk away with their heads down saying, you know what, but we have another slate starting in an hour, I'm going to try again. Or
Yeah.
tomorrow
Yeah.
tomorrow's a new day. So again, the drug is very powerful. I think daily sports betting is just as powerful as heroin, alcohol. I sincerely do. Now, have I ever done heroin? No. I don't do any drugs. I'm just saying, that it is very addictive just
Yes.
from doing your own research, and again, all the development that we've put forth out here in the country, to know that if you're on heroin, it's very addictive. If you're on, if you're doing tobacco, it's very addictive. If drink alcohol, it's very addictive. There's a lot of addictive personalities in this country. And again, I think that a lot of that has to do with mental health and, everything else too. But money, the changing hands of money, I think, is something that is extremely powerful. Because like I said, when you're playing $1, $3, $5, that is low risk, high reward. And that's where I like to play, because again, that is my release. That is my time to where I could say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy a couple hours of baseball or football. And I'm going to play a couple dollars here that I could afford to lose,
Yeah.
because this is my entertainment. But again, people are using this drug, if you will, in a way that is ruining homes, it's ruining families, it's causing divorces, it's causing people to lose everything that they've ever worked so hard for, and but that is the actual drug itself. So when people are hooked on opioids, it's the same
Yes.
thing. When people are hooked on alcohol, it's the same thing. It's just a different drug.
That's a great analogy. You're right about it. But what I think is, when I'm looking at my phone, probably at least 4 or 5 times throughout the day, I'm getting a message from DraftKings stating, "Oh, you got player prop bonuses and all this, that, and the other," like, to get you to just log in and see what's available. And it becomes to a point where it's kind of manipulative for people who are, I would say, irresponsible sports bettors, because, like, you could just be having a regular day, and next thing you know, you're looking at your phone, you got 10 messages, and they're all saying 50% match, or 50% prop bet bonus, 100% prop bet bonus. And then you get the emails. You got 20 emails giving you the same thing. So your phone is kind of giving you all the marketing that they're trying to manipulate you to come in and bet more. And it works, because if it didn't, they wouldn't gain 4.8 million users a year. You know what I mean?
Well, look, they know the playing patterns
Yes.
of these people.
Yes. Yes, they
And
do.
they say, okay, well, we haven't had a big deposit in a while. We're going to prey on vulnerable folks, because that's
Yeah.
what a lot of people that are in this, not for fun. So like, for me, I do it for fun and for entertainment. If I
Yeah.
don't, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not doing this because I need to make my mortgage payment. I'm
Yes.
not doing this because I need to make my car payment. But many hundreds of thousands of people every single day in this country are doing it
Yeah.
to try to make their mortgage, to try to get their kids through college, to get that new car. They're like, man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And so that drug is so powerful that they prey on these weak and vulnerable. Now, are they really weak when it comes to life itself and them being good people? Probably not. But again, that's the drug that's speaking there. It's like,
Yeah.
we have so many different types of addictions in this country. You have a good addiction, you have a bad addiction.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has some sort of an addiction in life. You could be addicted to watching TV. You could be addicted to eating ice cream every night. You could be addicted. I mean, there's addiction comes in a lot of different
Oh, yeah.
shapes, colors, sizes, and it's all just basically whatever your mindset is. I mean, you could be addicted to going to the gym every single day. It's all just I mean, really, it all comes down to lifestyle and lifestyle choices, that you make. But they prey on the vulnerable people that they know are going to go ahead and they're going to follow through with their offer.
Again, of everybody who puts money in there, even when you win, how many times are you cashing out? Are you a cash out player, or do you just keep playing with it?
Well, I don't ever win anything. I win my money back. So
Yeah,
no, yeah, I'm never going to be cashing out unless I win a huge amount. But no,
but
I let it ride.
I'm just saying, look at the statistics. I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
All
Like,
right, all right, Thecko,
yeah,
you dude, look, Youngstown. Look, I was born in Youngstown. My dad grew up. He he was a union guy, worked the
yeah,
railroad, and he lived at the racetrack. Whiskey and cigars, betting on the ponies.
yep.
Okay. There's something about Youngstown that gambling is just in our blood. And it's an old school blue collar mafia round mob style town that's full of steel, liquor, fighters, and gamblers.
Yeah,
And
blue collar.
you are from Youngstown, okay? And
Yes,
this is probably why we've been such great friends for such a long period of time. We have a lot of commonalities,
yes.
So with that being said, are you? I mean, look, you're an everyday player, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do you want to see DraftKings go away?
No,
Or,
no. What I'm saying is that I just think that the way that they market to the user, especially ones who are vulnerable, like you said, that needs to be monitored better. Like
but
if they
but
could see the betting patterns and they know that you're a losing player, but
but
they
no,
keep
that can't happen. But that can't happen because look, we already have so much government
yeah,
in our lives. We already have so much government in this country. So why continue to make the government bigger to say, nope, you can't play today? Yep, you can play today. I mean, that would be like saying, well, this guy's an alcoholic, so you can't serve him a beer, or you can't, serve him at the liquor store, even though yep, this guy's a drunk and he's probably going to get
yeah,
behind
you're right.
the wheel. He's probably going to go get his fifth or sixth DUI. He might kill somebody, but you know what? We have to serve him because he's fine. He's walking in. He's not impaired. He's an alcoholic, so he's getting his drug of choice. And that might be a 12 pack of beer or 24 pack of beer or a bottle of whiskey or vodka or whatever it may be. So, what sort of policy, really? I mean, what sort of policy is going to prevent that from happening? There just isn't.
I think you're right. I just think that I just wanted to bring the numbers out there just so people could be informed a little more about who actually wins on the site. You know what I mean? Because, when it first started, employees of both sites were, you know, able to go make bets themselves and they have inside information based on the charts. They know where the
Yes.
bets are at. So they were winning money. I'm they also paid out for that too, but it happened. I guess wherever you have an employee that in a gambling environment always looks to have a little bit of an edge. But to think that your employees aren't going to sports bet, now I'm sure they're not allowed to now, but that wasn't the case when it first started. And I don't know. I think today I just wanted to raise some awareness about the actual people that win over the people who don't. Like, would I complain if I won 250,000, a million? I would still think that it's the way that it's marketed. Because if you ever won that amount, you're going to get emails and text messages out to the point where you're going to start putting more money back in because you enjoy it. I enjoy it. I love it, like for what it is. But what I'm saying is, there are people out there that will never know what it's like to win on there, but they can't stop because they got given the free money. So they got a taste of, oh, I won a few bets. they tightened up the odds. I feel a little bit once people started winning. Of course, they want to win too. It's a company. It's just like a casino. I mean, casinos weren't built by winning players. They're built by the losing masses. But I guess there is addiction hotlines you can call. But I just think that the emails, the texts, like, why does it have to be like 4 or 5 messages a day? Like, I could see one message or an email, but like, you'll get one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one at night. They're trying to draw you in. And I get it from a company standpoint. They want to make money, and that's how they're doing it. But, you know, I feel that it will corrupt the young people later in life. Like, if they only have a betting mentality in it, and I kind of feel like I I've been around gambling since I was a kid. I mean, I'm a poker dealer. Well, I was, and in the casinos, but no longer. Uh, but when I was there, I saw so many people like even when you lose money, they give you promotions to bring you back, like a free meal or hotel stay. Which it's again, you had mentioned before. It's part of like entertainment. We want to be entertained, and I don't see anything wrong with promoting, but I do see it when it's coming 5 or 10 times a day to you. You know,
Sure. I guess here are some things that could be a potential hazard for betting. Now,
yes,
when I was a kid, I grew up going to all the baseball games in San Diego. My mom took us out of Youngstown when I was 3, and we went to San Diego, and that's where I spent my childhood. And I loved baseball growing up. I was a junior Padre.
yeah.
And back in the early 80s, you could actually smoke cigarettes in Jack Murphy Stadium, the old Murph.
Oh wow.
And I remember vividly they had Marlboro billboards all throughout this stadium. And then in the 90s, they said, yeah, we're not going to be smoking anymore. And we cannot even have any cigarette billboards or any advertising in these stadiums. And then what got replaced by the cigarette billboards? Beer, right? All the beer billboards. Well, what's popular right now in every single one of these stadiums in the country?
Yes.
They have the DraftKings logo, they've got the FanDuel logo, and
Crypto.
kids going to these games.
Yep.
But guess what, too? Every single sports show that you watch, on the bottom ticker, it gives you the lines of every game, the overs, the unders, and then it even breaks down by the individual player. Is he going to be over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs? Is he going to hit a home run? What are the odds on that? What's the, you're looking at a 10-time multiplier on if this guy, gets a double or a triple.
Yeah.
But every single sports station that breaks down sports, it could be Fox, could be ESPN, it doesn't matter. TNT, all they're going to do is they're going to give you gambling lines, period. They're going to be like, well, Vegas says the Vegas line is blah, blah, blah. And that's all they do. And they're like, call 1-800-DraftKings today and go ahead and, that's all they do. And then you talk about the bonus and this and that. So they are marketing this in every stadium across the country. They're marketing it all over. They're marketing it all over TV. And
yeah, they got to scan you can scan from your TV to get linked into a site.
Right. And so and then they're linking this directly to kids as well. So like they've got this generation of kids growing up that all they want to do is play fantasy.
Yeah.
And they only know the easy way. Like us, it was like old school writing it down. And then innovation has just made it easier for us old heads now. We're like, yeah, I'll play my $1, $2, $3 games. But if you're a kid, even buying a house these days is very expensive. So I could see a kid saying, dude, I'm going to win and I'm going to freaking have a down payment on a house. I'm going to get a car. And so their minds start to go. And then all of a sudden that that kid is now become a junkie when it comes to gambling, and they're losing more than they're winning, and that's going to make their life very difficult on them in a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
But also too, this is what I don't like is that you got Major League Baseball with DraftKings all over their stadiums, and they kept Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame
so sad.
because of sports betting. And I just look at this as being so hypocritical. Like, how did how did us the people allow this shit to happen? It's like if you want to put gambling stuff all over these stadiums, well, then put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame because
Exactly.
it's just one of those things. And like you also talk about, well, you've got, all these addictions and, and stuff like this. Well, do you know how many times somebody was probably sitting at a stadium and they saw that Budweiser commercial that they played, or the Bud Light deal, or the chants that they used to do? And, in the old Murph, you'd have half the stadium yelling, tastes great. And then, no, I know, I think, one half would say tastes great, and then the other half would say less filling, tastes great, less. I mean, like literally, like the people are doing the advertising of the actual drug dealers themselves, right? I mean,
Yeah,
dude, that would be like going to a Starbucks and getting your drink of choice and going to the game, and having 60,000 people saying, frappa, and then the other half chino. It's like, dude, like what the fuck are we doing?
Well, in Ohio, from what I heard, Governor DeWine is trying to take away prop bets from the betting sites in Ohio. Not, I mean, it won't.
So the folks that don't know what that is, explain what that is.
I mean, prop bets are just based on individual players,
right?
You know what I mean, and building like parlay lineups and you know, betting coin flips, betting, you know, just anything that is like who scores the first touchdown.
Right. Yeah. It's basically Super Bowl betting every single game.
Yeah, basically. And I guess it's become a problem. There's a lot of people who have complained in the state and lost millions. And it's an issue that I think they're trying to change. Will that change everything? I guess I don't want things to change per se. I just think that they need to dial it back with all the pushing, because it never leads to a good result, and we all are responsible for our own gambling. I mean, but the problem is most people who win never cash out, and they lose what they win, and then they put more in.
And and I think you're taking this from a standpoint of caring.
Yes.
I mean, you have a good heart, and I think you're around this. I mean, you're around it every single day. You deal poker in Pittsburgh, and you see the effects of what gambling does to so many people. So I think you're taking an approach on, look, I'm doing this in a more responsible way. But there's a lot of folks out here that aren't, and they need some sort of help, and they're just not getting the help that they need, because I don't want to see these guys continue to suffer, and they've basically died a slow and very painful death of anxiety and despair and depression trying to chase that next high. They're chasing the wins, and you can't chase a win. You only win when you're not really that concerned about it. So it's the millionaires that constantly are always winning because they're like, yeah, well, whatever, I'll throw, $500 on it. I'll just do this. And they're just going to keep winning because they're not thinking about it. They're just going with their gut instincts, knowing that this is the line. But if you're down to your last $10 and you're looking at everything, oh my God, I got to get this. It's got to hit. You're not going to put together the lineup that's going to win because you're playing scared. You can never play this game scared. You have to play this game the way that your heart and the way your mind tells you to. If you're playing scared, you'll lose every single time.
Yeah. And I use the famous phrase that me and others have probably said back and forth to each other when we do our parlay bets. is, or even like with the, doing football lineups. Uh, Man, I was just one player away or one play away from, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
say that every
oh, if
night.
I didn't change my lineup, like,
Yeah, I say that every night.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. But speaking of that, I do have something to talk about.
yeah.
FanDuel recently, uh, they're in a lawsuit by a bunch of bettors. They have paid out $2.2 million of a bet. It was a 7 leg baseball home run parlay. The guy posted on a TikTok, and other people like piggybacked his bet, and the company would have lost, I think, a total of 30 million, but they paid out 2.2. But I guess somewhere in the fine print that nobody reads when you sign up, to these sites, is that if like they have a right to void or not pay if you were like posting on other social media platforms, like to your lineups so other people bet it. But what's crazy to me is when you sign into DraftKings or FanDuel, they have a preset, like, oh, this famous person, this is the 4 picks they want for the day. And there's like 1,600 people backing that pick. Okay. And you're like, oh, well, I might as well throw $5 or $10 at it. You know what I mean? So if you win on that, it's okay. But if you do it on other platform and you get, if they end up losing $30 million because like 700 people that day followed that bet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're managing the special. Okay. So they know that they can only take 400 people on this because they're going to leverage their bet. So if that bet is paying out 3.2 times, they now know that when that's done and that fills up, they're going to bet against that. So they never lose. So if you have a guy on TikTok who's putting out his lineup, who's professional at what he does, and you have all these people that are following him, now they don't have anything to leverage back. They're like getting hit at one time, because if you're ever on DraftKings and you're doing a pick six or whatever it may be, that changes every 10 minutes. So if you're on early in
Yeah.
the morning, okay, you may be able to get an Ohtani at 4.2 times if he hits a home run. But 10 minutes out, when it locks, it may be at 1.2 times. Or if nobody took the bet at 4.2, they're going to hit you at 12 times and say, take it. We got 10 minutes left. If Ohtani hits a home run, turn that, that dollar, into $12, or turn 100 into $1,200.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I fill out parlays, usually they're 20 legs, and the
Or
odds
no,
are
100 into, it would be $1,200, right? Yeah.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, the goal is to win 100,000, 200,000. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the odds are, I know probably about 5 people who have won big significant amounts multiple times, but they do put the time and effort. Like they're watching podcasts. They're
Dude, but I don't think, look,
yeah,
you can only, and I guess this is just me.
yeah,
It's so you can only research so much. Like, okay, so for an example, Jung Ho Lee with the Giants.
okay,
This dude hasn't been doing he hasn't been doing anything. Okay.
yes,
He's, OPS of maybe, sub 5 right now in the last 10 games. Who was on the bump last night for the Padres? Former Red Sox, I think. I know.
my baseball knowledge is not with me anymore.
All right, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I looked at the BVP of who they had on the mound, and I'm like, even though he's having a good year and nobody else in the Giants can hit this guy, Jung Ho Lee's batting 750 against him in 6 at bats, and he has 2 home runs. So guess what I did? I threw him in there, and he freaking hit a home run last night.
yes,
But if you were to follow BVP on an every single day basis, you're only going to hit about 40% of the time. So the game is to say, all right, who's it going to be today? And so now you've got to look at weather. Now you got to look at what the wind conditions are going to do. Now you need to look at how strong their bullpen is. So there's so many different things that you need to look at. And it really boils down to one thing. It boils down to luck and the experience of the better. And to know this guy plays better on the road than he does at home. Or this guy does really well against righties and he can't hit lefties. Or this guy, it all just boils down to that. And so if the professionals know this, to whereas the everyday average bettor, they don't. They're going to work. And again, this is their outlet. When they're
Yes.
off of work, this is their outlet. They're going to go home. They're probably going to have a beer. They're going to put some baseball on, or they're going to put some football on, NHL, NBA, whatever season it may be in, and they're going to place their DraftKings bet. And now they could sit back and relax. And this is their outlet that makes them happy after working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. They just want to be left alone. I'm going to disappear in my, in my living room, and I'm going to take myself to this game, and I'm going to follow my lineup. I'm going to follow my players. I'm going to enjoy this beer or six or whatever it may be before I need to start playing an adult again tomorrow.
Yeah. 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 I'm going to talk about one particular bet here. Okay. Was it 2 years ago? I did a PGA prop bet, and it paid 857 to 1. Now, I usually, at the time, I was betting probably like $20, $25 on these like bets, but that day I was like, you know what, I'm just going to throw $5 at it. And it ended up hitting. But when it came down to it, all of the guys had to finish first, second, top, or the first, second, or first, the top 5, the top 10, top 20. And I think I even had one in top 40. But everyone finished where they were supposed to be. And they offered me a cash out, which, I took because it guaranteed me $2,600. Now, did I regret doing that cash out? Sure, because it hit. But the guy was in a playoff for first, and it didn't look too good for him after the tee shot. So I was like, all right, I'm taking it. I'm not going to lose thousands of dollars just because. But man, it would have been nice that day to have 2 lineups.
Right?
So I do like when they offer you like that aspect of the bet. Like you have a chance of winning a lot, or you could take even more, a little more than half, and you're a winning player for the day, the week, the month. You know what I mean? But I think after that, I took out like $1,500 and left the rest of it in there, and thinking that I could probably win money back, but I didn't. And it was my own responsibility to take it all out, but I didn't. I left it in there. I had fun for months. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to see this go away. I guess the point of today was to just bring awareness to those who are constantly, thinking they have a chance when if you know the statistics, like.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Just a small chance, my friend.
Dude, hey man, look. This is my live lineup right now, man. We got the early slate going. we got the early slate going right now. DraftKings. All right, let's see here. All right, so we're gonna break this down live, and all of a sudden my camera. Okay, so we're gonna break this down live. This is the early. So I got Valdez, I got Framber on the bump, I got Bassett, I got Alejandro Kirk, I got Christian Walker, and he was a lot better as a Diamondback. He's kind of he's turning it on a little. I got Altuve, I got Barger with Toronto, Bichette, Varsho. So I'm basically doing a mini stack Houston, mini stack Toronto, and I even threw two Tigers in against my pitcher, which I don't usually pick guys against my pitcher.
Yeah.
But today I was like, you know what? Framber could still have 8 Ks, so I'm looking at 2 home run shots. So if he can give up two runs to both of my guys to hit solo shots, and I still get 8 Ks, hey, I'm hitting value still, and I'm doing something that not a lot of guys are going to be doing. They're not going to be going against their own pitcher. And I'll do that a lot too. I'll put a pitcher in and I'll throw some 9-hole hitter because I know they're going to pitch to him,
Yeah.
and that's why so many 7, 8, 9 guys are doing well. And a lot of the 1 through 5 guys are getting K'd all the time because they're getting the best pitches. And these freaking pitchers know, okay, I can actually pitch to the 9-hole guy. And, these guys are professional. So if you throw middle in on one of these guys, they're going to turn and go the other way with it. And guess what? You got a home run and you just want that guy in there because that's a 14-point player right there. That could be the difference between first place and 636th.
Man, but the sweats are real when you're like, man, if this guy comes through for me, I have a chance at the big money today.
Yeah, you know what? Again, dude, this is just fun. I mean, like it's a $1. It's a $1 lineup to win. I think it's a 1 for 25K. I think first place pays 5,000. So again, it's low risk, high reward, and it's a hobby. I mean, really, it's fun. It's really no different than having a hobby. Like, yeah, I want to go shooting today, or I want to go fishing, or I want to, go boating, or go. I get a lot of entertainment out of sports, man. I mean, like that's what I do. I love sports. That's always been my passion. It's always been your passion, and it's something that is basically on every single day, so there's always that outlet there. And if that outlet isn't there and there isn't sports on, I'm not gonna lie, I get a little depressed, man. I'm like, so now what? I got to watch the freaking news. I hate the news. I hate politics, even though I talk about the news all the time and I talk about politics all the time because that's just what I do. And it's just what drives the world. That's what drives things. Basically we're talking about politics right now in a roundabout way right now. Look, you're saying there may need to be some more policy issues to protect the vulnerable people out there. And then there's guys like me that will say, nah, we don't need any more government in this because it's already completely, saturated with policy and oversight. So just let the players play, right? But then again, you're like, well, these guys are just going to kill themselves off. And then if you look at our country right now, look at all the homeless people that are running rampant in all these cities that stick needles in their arms all the time. Yeah. That's no different than gambling. They're just getting their highs in a different way. But both, I guess, could lead to the streets and lead to a lot of really bad things happening because of the decisions that people make.
I mean, we got to agree this country was built on gamblers, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at the mob. Look, you go back to when our country was founded. I mean, you go into any saloon and what are they doing? They're playing poker.
Yep.
They're playing poker. They're playing, anything and everything. If you can wager something, if you could say, I'm going to bet, and I'm an old school classic, my spittoon, okay, from the 1800s. I'm going to wager this again, and it doesn't need to be monetary. And that's the thing with gambling. Yeah, if you go onto the sites and stuff like that, yeah, it's going to be monetary value because that's how you can switch hands. But I mean, hell, if you're doing some old school back alley, gangster shit, you can be like, yo, dude, freaking let's bet your rims or your wheels, man, or your system. I mean, that shit goes down too, man. They're throwing dice. You've got cards. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's been around. It's never going to go anywhere because it's too powerful.
You're right. And I don't want to see it go anywhere. I'm just, for instance, like, I know I spoke about the wine and the prop bet, but I'm going to bring one prop bet up that I think that needs to be talked about. It was the Super Bowl last year. Saquon Barkley was minus 380 to score a touchdown. And before the Super Bowl, they changed it to a plus 100. 46%, I think, of the bets made that day had it in a prop. So I don't know how much money they made off of that, but he didn't score. You know what I mean? And this is a guy who was scoring multiple touchdown games throughout the playoffs. But in the biggest moment, Even when they were on the 1 yard line, he never touched the ball.
Exactly. And, look at Otani.
Yeah,
He's 7,200 in Coors Field. 7,200.
that's crazy.
And folks, if you don't understand what that means, the average good hitter for a salary player to purchase on your $50,000 salary is about 4 to 4,400. It is a good hitter. 7,200 for Otani. I mean, hell, that's a pitcher.
Yeah,
That's a good pitcher. And I'm like, I don't ever play Otani because it's hard to get that value out of a guy who's just going to hit.
yes.
And I play him in Coors Field. The dude gets me 3 points.
Yeah, it has the value has to equal the payout, right? So they need to produce that day, or you. I mean, there's so much more value through players underneath him. But that's the idea. Everyone's such a big fan of individual players. They want them in their lineups. Of course, the site wants that because they know they don't have a chance of winning.
Yeah, they take the bait. It's called bait.
Yes.
And sometimes you'll see guys that have an OPS at 1.2. I mean, they're killing it. And you look at their last 10,
Yeah.
and they've got 10 RBIs, 3 home runs, 3 doubles, and 2 stolen bases, and they're 3,800.
Yep.
Because they want you to say, look, we know that 99% of people are going to do a lineup and they're going to have 0 remaining. They want you to have 0 remaining because when you're down to your last 4,400 and you need to get that last outfielder or shortstop, whatever
Yep.
it may be, your catcher, you're typically going to put in the highest value guy left. But I don't. I always scroll down 3, 4, 500 less because those are the guys that are going to produce. And also, too, they want you to take the bait of somebody who's hot, who could be batting 7th or 8th, like Durbin with Milwaukee. He'll either lead off or hit 8th, but he's still like 47 to 5,000 because of what he produces. Now, if he's leading off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that bet. But if he's hitting in the 8 hole, I'm not going to take him. I don't even care if he gives me a home run that day. If you're hitting in the 8 hole and you're almost 5,000, I'm going to pass. I'm going to go the guy that's, hitting 1 or 2. Yeah. And I also like to play the guys that are hitting 5, 6. But if I ever have, if I ever go really high in pitching or really high in, on hitters, and I'm down to not a whole lot of options, I'll always go the 9 hitter for 21, 22, 2,300 because I know that they're going to get pitched to, again, like we were talking about earlier. And so those are the guys that I think are going to follow through and have, again, that's low risk, high reward. All they got to do is get 1 hit. Hell, all they got to really do is even get a walk, put 2 points on the board, and they've already hit value at their 2,100 spot. So if they do anything, and if they score a run or get a stolen base, dude, you're in the black for the day. And all you need to do now is to have your producers produce, and that's where this game sucks. Because when all my low guys are doing something, all my producers, they shit the bed. And then the next day, I get my producers produce and my shitty guys don't. And so it's like, if we can get this damn thing together one time, right? Or the freaking mix,
That's why having inside information helps.
well, it's not just the inside information. Again, it was everything we were talking about earlier, because there's only so much, inside information that you can get, but all that inside information is all at the hands of the public to see, as long as you put in your research, like I was talking about, wind, speed, lefty, righty. There's, are they playing inside? Are they playing outside? What's the weather like? There's just so many, what's his BVP? What's the, the OPS? What's, there's a gazillion different things that it's the science behind the game. And if you can understand the science behind the game, well, it's going to make you a better player, but it's not going to make you a perfect player, and it's not going to pay out every single time. These professional gamblers out there, I see, man, they'll run 2,000 lineups. They'll run 150 of the same lineups. Me, I'm in there. I got my 2 lineups, and I'm like, "What's up?" You know what I mean? I'm just trying to freaking turn that one. So it's really all you need is the one, for it to work. But yeah. Yeah, whatever.
Do you know a fact about both of these sites of the current market? FanDuel is responsible for 43%, and DraftKings is 26%. So
Hmm.
59% of the market is by two companies. There's
Yeah.
14% of others, and then I think BetMGM and maybe ESPN Plus, and some there might be one more. But those are basically that's the market. But those two control the market, and that's what I'm saying. Like at the beginning of the show, like I said, the purpose was to just raise awareness to those who are probably like easily manipulated by the system and vulnerable, like you had said. So if the algorithm is tracking those that are like that and feeding them the advertisement to come in and bet, I mean, that is just something I think needs change. But overall, I mean, the idea of this, I mean, I know all of us once we got together with our friends, were like, man, why didn't we think of this? You know what I mean? Because it is a good thing to have, but I think there needs to just be more. If they're gonna do marketing that is gearing you to come in, they need to have the same marketing about being responsible. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah. I mean, that's never going to happen. The only thing that's going to save the person from their addiction and from what they're losing is a behavior modification.
true.
And that's it. Because if DraftKings isn't going to be feeding them that offer, they're going to go somewhere else.
Well, they do have limits now you can set on yourself. It's just
Right.
like
But
anything
you
else.
also have limits that you can go in there and reverse.
If you
So,
set that limit up, maybe that you have to stick to it for 6 months.
but what is the user going to do? They're going to just go open another account with another
Yeah,
dealer.
because if they're limited someplace else, yeah, you're right.
Right. So all they're going to go.
Yeah,
So say if they limit themselves, they're like, okay, I ain't doing this anymore. I'm only going to do $1 a day. And I'm going to limit myself. Oh my God, I
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
And then they're feeling inert. Like, oh, dude, I feel good today. I want to put 10 on this or 100 on this or whatever it may be. And they can't do it on DraftKings. All they're going to do is go set up an account at FanDuel,
yeah, yeah,
But what a lot of people don't understand too is that you can only have one of these accounts. So you can't have multiple DraftKings accounts. You can only have one account per person. And dude, they know how to track that shit. Dude, one time I tried getting two accounts and
yeah.
they shut that shit down quick. And I even had two different credit cards. But dude, like they know, like, holy shit, like they are tough on that, man. They definitely so the governance is there.
Yeah, well,
They govern the shit out of this.
there are states that don't even allow it. You
Yeah.
know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if you try to place a bet in a state that doesn't allow it, it won't let it go through.
Yeah.
They,
Or it'll just say that you're in a state that you can't, and basically,
yeah,
if you keep trying, they'll just ban you.
yeah.
You know.
So you have to find out, well, what's the nearest state so you can go make the bet.
Well, that's what Mattress Mac here in Houston.
Yeah,
The dude will take a bag of cash
yeah,
and drive just right across the border here into Louisiana and go to Caesars or whatever. Fuck, you can just go into a gas station there, I think, and you can place a bet there in Louisiana.
yeah,
And I mean, that's where he'll put 4 million down, on the Astros, or he'll put 4 million down on, Texas or Texas A&M, or, whatever the furniture sale may be. It could be on the Super Bowl, something big, high profile, where there's a lot of money going to be changing hands. And dude, he can also change lines too.
oh, for sure.
By him putting down all this money on, say, the Astros in the World Series, or, I mean, you've got 4 million on one team. Now this guy just changed the lines 100%. So, because again, Vegas is never going to lose. They're not going to lose. They will always win. It may come in a roundabout way. It may look like that they're losing, but they're not. It's almost like insurance companies. Oh my God, I feel so bad for the insurance company. They just lost $20,000 million homes in this horrible fire and flood. Well, guess what? they're not losing.
No.
They are still winning, and we're the ones that are still losing all the time. If you ever need a deductible, or if you need to put in an insurance claim, it's the same way with sports. I mean, these businesses know how to protect themselves. They have a lot of people in very high places that are very smart, that are making these decisions, and they're paid big bucks to make the right decisions, and they're paid big bucks to ensure that their company doesn't lose. And if their company loses, they lose their job.
So, do you think that the states that aren't allowing this see a flaw, or do you think that they don't want like that type of gambling coming into the state because then they have to be open to everything else, like such as casinos or whatnot? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know the politics behind that. It could be that they already have enough addiction in their state that they can't afford to take on another addiction, or they say, if we're going to allow daily fantasy sports coming in, now we're going to need to allow these Indian reservations to open up their own casinos, and we're just not ready for that yet because we need to figure out how we're going to package this so again we can make money. So even if they say, hey, look, we're in the Bible Belt, we don't really believe, in the gambling aspect of thing, I think that's all bullshit because they still sell alcohol. Yeah, maybe not on Sundays, but they still sell alcohol, tobacco, and all this other stuff that is legalized in their state. Again, I think it just all comes down to making money on it. It's almost like the medical marijuana deal in Colorado. Colorado was the first state to do it. Now it's in shit tons of states because they figured out how to package it and how to deliver it to the government in a way that they could buy down their debt and actually increase a lot of the revenue that the state is bringing in so they can go out and they could spend it in other nefarious ways.
Yeah.
And, but again, that's the politics of it. Anytime that there is any money involved in anything, you've got politics driving it and you have corruption driving it. That will never change. Just like you were saying earlier, our country was founded on gambling. Yeah. I mean, anytime you have anything in your hand that's worth value, there will always be somebody willing to wager it for something more.
Yes.
So
they call it an American dream, right? It's risk. High risk, high reward. No risk, low reward.
Yeah, there's people that bet their houses.
Oh, yeah.
There's people that bet, like I said, when you're out in the back streets there, I mean, what do you got to bet? Well, I got my Glock. I mean, they bet those.
Yeah, but who knows? In a few years, that could be worth gold.
Might want to check the serial number on that one right there. Either that or check the local bayous for some gunshot analysis. Like, oh yeah, it looks like this gun might have been used. Echo, man, thanks so much for coming on, man. I had a great time hanging out with you, buddy.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine. It's great seeing you grow and thrive in your podcast. I mean, from day one to now, I can't help but get enough of listening to him while I'm driving around with my passengers and whatnot. And it changes people's lives. It does. I mean, I can attest to it. I've seen it, and just keep doing these things, man. It does so much for all people out there, and you give them a channel, and it's a great channel to watch. So,
man, I appreciate that. I sincerely do. I know you're an everyday listener, man. That's awesome. In 3 years, I've done 304 episodes now. It's given me purpose. It's given me purpose through all the garbage and shit I've been through. And again, that's another reason why I play my daily fantasy sports. It kind of takes me away from pain. It takes me away from, a lot of different things that just concentrate, put my mind on something else. Again, low risk, high reward. And, again, it's the entertainment aspect of things. And I just choose to, this is what I want to do, and again, it educates you a lot on the game and, on the players and what their stats are. And, those are all great conversation starters too. You're out somewhere and you could really impress a lot of people. Well, yeah, that guy's a a 360 hitter, this year. I mean, he's in the running to be, the NL MVP or the AL MVP. This guy's got, 80 RBIs at the break. Yeah. I mean, it just, there were so many different things that you can really really talk about, when you know about sports. Sports is the best conversation starter I think there is. And it's also something that really brings together that sports is something else that I think is one of the number one things that brings the political divide together. You can be far left and far right and come together on Sunday and literally get along because you're not talking politics. It's that you got that one commonality.
Yeah.
And that commonality is we both like the Broncos or we both like the Steelers or the Cowboys, whatever it may be. And I think, and again, sports is always going to bring people together. It's always going to have money, corruption, fun, entertainment, the what ifs tied to it. So, hey, man, dude, I got to roll, dude. I got to get my.
Same here, brother. I enjoyed being on the show, brother.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.
This is the Today with Tally podcast.